Namaskar, hello and welcome viewers. You're watching Committee Report with your host Kriti Mishra. Today we'll take a closer look at the report of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Industry on electric and hybrid mobility. India, being the fifth largest automobile market in the world, imports crude oil from outside to cover 80% of its transport fossil fuel, thereby draining public exchequer and also increasing pollution from traditional internal combustion engine vehicles. That is also at alarming levels. The committee notes that India's EV ecosystem is still at a nascent stage as compared to several other countries in the world. Therefore, the need of the hour is to scale up the transition process to electric mobility. The committee welcomes the decision taken by the Government of India to switch over the hybrid and electric vehicles to tackle carbon emissions, helping reduce crude oil import in line with the latest global technologies. Before the detailed analysis, let's take a look at this report. The demand for electric vehicles in India has surged in the last 5 years, but there is still a long way to go for the industry to reach a parity point with internal combustion engine vehicles. The committee recommends that government should endeavour to make India a global manufacturing hub of EVs through various policy measures and creating a conducive and comprehensive EV ecosystem to bring a parity with ICE vehicles so that consumers are encouraged to buy EVs without any concern. The committee notes that the EV industry is initially facing many challenges for takeoff due to poor demand from consumers owing to high upfront cost of EVs in comparison to internal combustion engine vehicles, inadequate charging infrastructure as well. The committee urges the government to play an important role as a catalyst for enabling faster adoption of electric mobility through subsidies, incentives and long-term sustainable policies for demand creation. And for deeper insights on the observations and recommendations of the committee, I'm joined by an illustrious panel of guests. Joining us through virtual platform, Dr. Amee Yajnik, MP, Rajya Sabha. She represents the Congress Party. In the studio, we have with us Mr. Sudhendu Jyoti Sinha, Advisor, Transport, Infrastructure Connectivity, NITI Aayog. Also joining us in the studio, Mr. Sohinder Gill, CEO, Hero Electric. I welcome all of you on Sunset TV and thank you so much for joining us. And Dr. Yajnik, let me commence the program with you. The committee is deeply concerned to note the poor uptake in the sales of EV, which is less than 1% sale compared to that of internal combustion engine. Take us through the key recommendations and the observations of the committee.
Well, the committee had the occasion to practically know everything from A to Z about what is happening in the EV market and EV vehicle related issues. And so after hearing almost all the stakeholders, the highlights that came forward were that that's absolutely very, very negligible demand for this kind of vehicles, mainly because there is some kind of a range anxiety that what would happen if there's no charging center, no charging infrastructure available in sight. That is one thing. Second, I think still it is not a very tested I would say vehicle. You don't see that on the roads and people get confidence that, okay, we should go for this, because to explain to them the affordability, the performance and the pollution control, I think it will take a little while. So the key recommendations were that the government should come up with proper charging infrastructure, give facility for charging centers, have awareness campaigns to show that, yes, we are now switching over to this electric vehicles and we need to change because of the commitments also internationally. We have gone from FAME 1 to FAME 2. So that is what I think the government should do in order to see that people go for this electric vehicles. This is going to be the sector, very upcoming sector for the next decade or the coming decade. So a lot of things would have to be done by the government. And so they did take down all these points, mainly for the infrastructure, charging infrastructure, because unless you don't have a charging infrastructure, they wouldn't know where to get the fuel for the car, or for the vehicle. Second, that there should be an uninterrupted power supply, to get the charging done, and safety measures that have to go along with it. So this was suggested also to all the car manufacturers to have some kind of a demo in their showrooms. And the government would see to it that, yes, they see that this mobility is visible as far as public transport is concerned. So some cities have been given a lot of buses like that, and so if the buses ply. So these were general recommendations given to the government, and the stakeholders' anxiety was also taken into consideration.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Yajnik, for setting the tone and tenor of this discussion. And Mr. Sinha, as Dr. Yajnik was pointing out, of course, about safety and charging infrastructure. First, let's focus on charging infrastructure. Now, the committee says that there should be a live database about charging stations, the active charging stations, and also it should be covered under the corporate social responsibility. Going ahead, I know that NITI Aayog and government, they have gotten together and did bring a lot of schemes and pushing the EV ecosystem in India, but perhaps charging still remains a big concern for the consumers who want to shift to the EV vehicles.
Yes, it is rightly you have said that charging infrastructure is definitely one of the principal challenges that we have to now, that is now a priority that we have to take on. Now, since the time when the FAME 2 has been re-strategized, where we analyzed FAME and said that why is it that we are not achieving our targets? And our targets were very, very aspirational. Target was that with respect to two-wheelers, we should be incentivizing almost 1 million two-wheelers. Yes. If with respect to three-wheelers, it should be 500,000 kind of. Similarly for the buses and the cars, they were there. You know, India is not a car-driving nation. Cars, they very rarely, they are very minor portion of the entire vehicular fleet. India is a two-wheeler and three-wheeler driving nation because our fleet, basically 80% of them consist of the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers. Plus, as we are moving on urbanization, so public transport becomes very, very significant. In the urban areas, to go ahead with charging infrastructure in a full throttle, that is a definite priority now. Now, let me tell you, as far as two-wheelers are concerned, this will primarily move on the home-based charging. So you get your vehicle charged at your home and then you move for the day. But you may need the opportunity charging. That is to say, you may need it to be charging again. For that, in this particular budget, if you recollect, there is a battery swapping policy that government has mandated NITI Aayog to come out with. And we are developing the policy, we are developing the scheme, we are developing the innovative business models, and of course, standards and specifications. Very soon you will see that this will be rolled out. And with that, there will be absolute clarity that how we are going on the charging infrastructure for the two-wheelers and three-wheelers. That is one. Number two is for the buses, the big size buses, public transport, where we are very aspirational. You know, India is doing one of the best in the world, I would put it this way. If I tell you just the numbers, as of now, there are some 2,000 odd buses which are already plying on the road, electric buses. You see them written, you know, 100% electric, 0% smoke. Those blue buses, they are moving in Delhi.
Right.
Now, 2,000 odd buses are already there. 5,450 buses price discovery has already been done. That is. Another is on float as of now, that is for 5,680. That is the number.
Right.
These are big numbers, very big numbers. The whole of US and Canada put together has got only 1,500 buses. South America has got 1,000 buses. Europe, 24 countries put together, they have got some 7,657 buses.
Right.
So this is the number why India is that aspirational. For the cars, yes, and the other vehicle segments, what they are doing is government has mandated these oil marketing companies, BPCL is also on the lead, that some 22,000 charging stations they will have to develop at these places so that the range anxiety, the anxiety with respect to charging, that is taken care of.
All right, those are big numbers, those are aspirational numbers, but as a consumer, Mr. Gill, when I see two-wheelers and four-wheelers catching fire randomly on the road, sir, I'm scared. As a manufacturer, how do you allay my concerns?
Thanks, Kriti. It's unfortunate and really unfortunate and shouldn't have happened. And squarely, I would say manufacturers have to be blamed because even if it is customer awareness, it's a part of manufacturers to make sure that the customer is made aware about the safety concern. But the good thing is we react quite quickly, whether policy or manufacturers. So a great new standard is now being floated. In 6 months' time, there is a deadline being given. If it's implemented within 6 months, I believe these incidents will become rarest of rare after that. You can't say zero because that's the nature of electric batteries. The more worry is between the intervening period and the past vehicles.
Yes.
And there are more than 700,000 such vehicles which are there right now on the road. So it is for the manufacturers to make sure that the existing lot, till the time new certified batteries come into picture, how they are kept safe, which means much more awareness, many more measures to be taken on servicing, frequent visiting of customers back to the service station to see that batteries aren't going wrong, educating the customer on the right way, and in case of an unfortunate incident, how to contain the fire. All these are education, awareness, and a little bit of even like panic alarm on the battery for the time being. If something happens, you should get advance information about it. Something is going to happen. These are all doable things. So I believe from association, we are trying hard that, okay, now after 6 months, everything will be all right, but we'll have 700,000 vehicles before that. Please take care of that.
All right. So going ahead, I think the industry has to put its act together. But since we're talking about the measures to promote EV ecosystem in India, Dr. Yajnik, we were talking off camera, and which was less about the rebates, the push that has been given, the schemes and the policies. It's more to do with the mindset. Dr. Yajnik, how do we change that?
Just as when we come out with any new policy or scheme, the government always goes with awareness campaigns. And awareness campaigns practically brief the citizens, that this is something which we are bringing it for you. Now here, not only the government, but even the car dealers and the manufacturers will have to come out with some kind of campaigns showing that this is a new kind of a vehicle we are coming out with. But the usage of electricity power, you can use it at home if you're having a two-wheeler. These are the safety measures. You need not worry that the charging infrastructure, you don't know where it is. So you need to know where are these charging stations, how you go about it, and why should you at all go for an electric vehicle. So this is, I think, the first step which the government should take up, the awareness and the making it known to the citizen that this is something which is now the requirement of the decade. And then you can show them that, yes, we will be controlling pollution. Those are larger and secondary issues. But first of all, why would a citizen buy an electric vehicle? And so that is why I think we have to start from the point number one. At the same time, the television and the media and the social media tells us that we are dependent on a lot of things on other countries.
Yeah.
We don't have lithium battery manufacturing. So people are aware of these facts also. So how would you give that confidence that, okay, we'll be now having this kind of manufacturing within the country? And then at the policy level also, people who are intermediaries, they should know that, yes, the government is going to invest in research and development on these issues. It's not just talk. So it's very good to say and compare with other countries. But we should not forget that the countries that are named, when we compare them, they have a very, very, very robust public transport system by way of trains and metros. So most of them commute by that. So we need not compare at this particular time. But I know that the cities are now, the municipal corporations are buying these buses. But charging is definitely, again, coming back to the same issue, is an issue. So we need to work on this. The first thing will have to be awareness campaigns, make people know and build up that confidence that, yes, here is a vehicle which I think you should be consider it equally like the petrol vehicle you are using. So this is the one foremost thing. And the government side, I think R&D is very, very much necessary, and less dependency on battery from outside. So we need to work on that part here.
Again, two very important points that you flagged, ma'am. One, of course, about the policy and the R&D. Mr. Sinha, before we talk about the R&D part of it, the policy. When this report was out, almost 13 states had their own EV policies, 12 were drafting it. But it is important to align these policies to have a central level policy, a pan-India policy. Going ahead, what's the way?
Okay, now you rightly said, but diversity is a key to it. Everything need not be aligned, because every state is going to create a policy based on their own unique selling point, their own unique strength. For example, a state like Karnataka would always say that we will be going full throttle, we will be going full blow as far as the R&D initiative is concerned. as far as technological inputs are concerned. On the other hand, there's a smaller state that could say, or a rich state could say that, okay, we'll top up the initiative over and above what the government is giving. So every state has to create a policy. Of course, the alignment has to be there with the national programs. There's a national policy, national programs, but it has to be it has to be unique in its own way. A state like Tamil Nadu might decide that, okay, we will be attracting investments from outside. We will be ready to come out with the trunk infrastructure, and we will be ready to give land and all other facilities so that investment comes to us. So every state is, that is the exact freedom that has been given to them, so that they own up the policy. And at the net aim is that they should, this particular global disruption should be adopted in India at the fastest possible pace. This is one point. As far as R&D is concerned, let me tell you that 16 out of 27 IITs, they have dedicated centers of excellence. They've already created it. We have nudged them so much that they have already created it. The nomenclatures are different. They call it sustainable electrical engineering, sustainable environment engineering. Different names are there, but all of them have got very, very significant inputs with respect to battery storage system, electric mobility, electric vehicle components, everything of them. In addition to that, the CTOs, the chief technical officers, and their units at the manufacturing point, they are also going into R&D, because as ma'am rightly said, that the technology and R&D is a key to it. Then that would only reduce the cost, the upfront cost of these vehicles, you see.
Right.
So, number one, awareness, people should be knowing about it. Number two is that of the technology and R&D initiative. And number three is that of the alignment of the industry. They have to come out with business models. These three together can bring down the costs, and they will nudge the people to get through this electric mobility.
So I'll borrow your sentence here, alignment and business models. Mr. Gill, now we have the policies in place, and also in our panel, we have the lawmaker, we also have the policy maker. This is your floor to flag the problems of the industry.
Like, I would put it into three. The first one is already discussed as customer mindset. Let me elaborate a little more on that. See, customer in India has been so tuned to buy a complete solution, whether it's a two-wheeler or a car, at an affordable price. And electric is not that. If you want an affordable matching price, the performance suffers. If you want a high performance, then the prices become twice. So they're caught in a web today. But unless the country finds a solution of awareness, educating the people, of factoring the running cost, total cost of ownership, and other advantages around electric, being at a country level or a global level, these things are going to take time. Yeah. So to accelerate that, perhaps awareness is already being discussed, but how to switch this mindset of customers to switch to the electric mobility in a way that he factors the running cost into the cost of ownership is one thing. And there are various ways of doing it. For example, even like battery swapping is one way of greatly doing it, where you are not loading the cost of operations or the running cost onto the battery cost onto the cost of vehicle.
Yes.
Second part is, even now, all the big players, they are fence-sitters. All the automotive players, you name it, everybody except one or two, they are fence-sitters, they are protecting their turf, they are not jumping into the game, and unless they do it, it won't be a big game. Because they are the men with muscles, and they are not thinking about yet that it is a part of their business. Rightly, to a certain extent, I would agree, because they have spent millions lately into Euro 6, investing hugely into this petrol side or diesel side, and they're trying to protect their own turf, their own investments. So they have to now think, enough is enough. The country is going in the right direction. They have to jump into it. Okay, if they are not jumping, they should not put obstacles onto the guys who are trying to do it. The third thing is that we have seen lately a vicious attempt at trying to stop the mobility by trying to put obstacles into whosoever is trying to propagate electric mobility as a part of their business ethics. So these two things and the mindset.
So Mr. Sinha has to answer that. Mr. Sinha has to answer that, sir.
No,
how do we prevent that?
I would rather say this way, Mr. Gill, that this disruption, if I compare it with that of another one, which was solar movement, for example, solar panels that we are going to create, the solar power energy that is there. precisely there we could succeed because the political leadership, the policy makers and the industry, all three of them were working as a team precisely. Let me tell you that on the electric mobility also, all three of us, we are now a part of the team. Then only we will be able to do it. So to say that somebody is trying to obstruct will maybe slightly unkind. I may not agree to that extent. But yes, as far as the scale and size, the moment you are able to reach there, we will make it happen in the country. You see, when all three of us are together, taking it forward, and as ma'am rightly said that the technology and R&D and a lot of collaborative efforts, awareness, all these are taken, these initiatives are dedicated to that, this is going to be happening. See, that is what, this country is going, and let me tell you that the Westerners, they sing for our initiatives. They appreciate it. They say that the way you are moving, the pace at which you are moving is absolutely top guns. Last year in two-wheelers, it was 3.5% we were of the target of support. Today we are 58%. In 1.5 years, less than 1.5 years, you are able to move from 3.5% to 58%. This is something phenomenal. Year before last, you were not able to show on an international map the numbers of charging stations that we have. Today, there is a definite position that is there. It is not very top, I agree, but the visibility is now coming.
Right.
That is something, that is something to be feeling proud of, and of course to take it forward. Yes.
All right. So in terms of numbers, also that jump is steep.
Yes.
But I'm completely out of time, and the debate between Mr. Sinha and Mr. Gill can continue off camera as well. But let me take the closing remarks from Dr. Yajnik. Dr. Yajnik, EV and future of EVs in India. Your closing remarks, ma'am.
The EVs are the future of the country. We will be doing a lot of justice to our commitments internationally by cutting down on our emissions. But the foremost thing is that I think when Mr. Gill was talking about fence-sitters and Mr. Sinha was telling about how the whole thing is moving forward, solar is a good example. Yes. Everyone has come to know that they're benefiting from solar. They have it on their individual rooftops also. So it's kind of a separate individual energy power station within your own homes. So this will also work. We need subsidies, we need incentives, we need financial support for that section, the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers. I think that will be the acceptability by the users. And correspondingly, you give the charging infrastructure. I think EV is going to do great. And maybe it is a little slow right now, but I see a future in EV.
Absolutely. Point taken, ma'am. Mr. Sinha, let me get some headlight moment on the show. When do we have the battery swappage policy?
I would put it that in a couple of months' time, max to max. In this budget, battery swapping policy was there, and there was another big thing that was the dense charging infrastructure that has been taken into the harmonized list of infrastructure. By that is meant that if you are setting up charging stations with more number of charging points, then you will be able to get financial support. The loan will be available from the banks that dedicated, it would be ring-fenced, so that availability is there. These two were the great initiatives that has been there, plus of course public transport, the buses, you see. So these are the initiatives that have been taken, and let me tell you that in a time span of another couple of years or so, you will see for sure that India would be on an absolutely top pace on electric mobility. This the world is able to acknowledge, recognize, they are able to foresee. The only thing may be that we need a proof of concept.
Right. Mr. Gill, would you agree with Mr. Sinha, given the fence-sitters and also given the people who are trying to avert this revolution?
100%. I've been always saying on policy, it's a dream come true. Everything we wanted, we have got more than that. Now, it's for the act to be put together over there, not a matter of time. It is to be accelerated. From accelerations, new stimuluses are required. So when policy is in place, manufacturers' intentions are there, what is the gap filler is the customer now. Perhaps somehow he has to understand. And from word of mouth, if there is enough population of vehicles, it will be exponentially growing then. So our first attempt should be, like Mr. Sinha was saying, the 1 million, 2 million figure should come by whatever means onto the road. And let the customer experience the taste of running cost, advantage, total cost, and comfort of the electric vehicle. No stopping after that. So the first target should be, let's put the first 1 or 2 million immediately on the road.
Right.
And Mr. Sinha, let me tell you, this is perhaps for the first time that the industry is not clamoring for more. Mr. Gill says that the industry has got more than they ever desired and they ever wished.
I mentioned to you that all the three are team members. You see,
Right, absolutely. So we're
see.
waiting for this EV revolution in our country. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Yajnik, Mr. Sinha and Mr. Gill. Well, viewers, that's all we have for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sunset TV. Namaskar.